In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the code that I provided to create categorical visualizations. We're going to be working off of the example paper that I showed in the previous slide that I encourage you, if you're stuck, to use, where we're only looking at percentage of passing ELA, percentage passing math, and charter school. So if you go to your notebook and you click on the desktop, and right here is this code. You just click on that and it'll open up to this code right here. And what I did was, here you see a schools table, and I created some functions. Is_charter, which checks the is_charter column, and if it is equal to yes, then it'll return true. If it's equal to no, it's going to return false. So is_charter just tells you if true, false if it's a charter school, and is_public will return true if it's public and false if it's charter by checking is_charter and seeing if it's equal to no. I did calculations and I made a video on this before to find out that the ELA passing median for all Rhode Island schools is 38%, and the math passing median for all Rhode Island schools is 25%. I created a function called isGoodSchool, where if you're above the median for both math and English, it'll return true, and if you're either below one of these two, it'll return false. Is_struggling is if both are struggling. So let me show you here what happens. So while this is running, I created a charter schools table that filters out all the charter schools and builds a column. So build column is a table method that takes in the name of the column and a function. So we're going to call it good, and we're going to use the function isGood, and so it'll be a true-false column saying that it is good. And then I also built another column for struggling schools, and it's called isStruggling. So I did it the same thing for public schools, but instead of charter schools, I filtered it out if it was public. Now I'm going to just type in charter schools. It's out of view. I didn't realize it would be out of view. Charter schools table. That's what I'm typing, and here are all the charter schools, right? So there's only 14. And if I go all the way to the end, I see that the two columns of good and struggling are here. And notice how a school can both be false for good and struggling, because if one of these is true, where it's above 38% for ELA passing, but not above 25% for math passing, that means that, like for example, this school, it's above the average for ELA, but it's below the average for math. So it's not a struggling school because of ELA, and it's not a good school because of math, right? So now that I created, now you might ask yourself, why create a true-false column? Because in order to do categorical data, right, you have to create a pie chart or a bar chart. I'm going to create both for you. But in order to do that, you have to reduce the number of choices to either one or like two, or I would say maximum 5, maybe 10, in order for it to make sense. So for example, this is what I saw, and this is an example of what not to do. So I'm taking charter schools table, right? That's the name of the table, and I saw people using ELA passing, right? Now, if you look at this, this makes no sense, right? Like, what do these colors mean? And 7.1, 7.1, like, it makes no sense. And then when you look at these, it doesn't tell you anything, right? So, so what you need to do is you need to create a column where you can categorize things so you can better understand it. So if let's say I press up, and instead of ELA passing, now I'm going to do good. And I could tell, right, that there's 35.7% of charter schools are considered good, right? That's something I can use, right? This is very helpful, right? Let's say I want to do instead of a pie chart, I do a bar chart. And instead of good, I want to see struggling. So notice here we have 50% that are struggling and 50% that are not struggling, right? False is not struggling, true is struggling, right? Now let's say I want to do a pie chart, but I wanted to do it for the public schools. And I see that, okay, 43% of the public schools are considered good, which, you know, if I compare it to charter schools, is a little higher, not that much higher, is a little higher, right? Now if I do a bar chart for struggling, here I see that we have less struggling schools less struggling schools than before. We had 50%. But again, this is a bar chart. So what's nice about a bar chart, it's not like a pie chart, right? Pie charts, we have percentages, so we can compare things much more easily, right? We compare percentages. Here we can just see the total number. So here we see that we have 7 schools that are not struggling, and 7 schools that are charter schools. And here we see that we have 150 schools that are not struggling, but we do have 3 schools that are. So you decide what you like better, bar chart or pie chart. I personally like the pie charts better. And you only have to do 2. If you do more, that will definitely boost up your grade. It will show that you understand. And you just have to go in here, right? Control V, paste it in, right? We'll make it a little smaller, right? And give it a title. So I'm going to hit underline, right? Make it a little bigger too. And I'm going to call this charter schools that are deemed good. Right? You could say charter schools that are good, right? And then I'm going to choose italic here. Why did you make this chart? I wanted to compare how many the percentage, right? Compare the percentage, because if I'm using a pie chart for percentages of good schools in both public and charter. Yeah, I think that's fine. All right, and then what does this chart tell us? It tells us that, well, maybe I should make this chart a little bigger because I can't even see the numbers. 35.7% of charter schools are considered good, right? And then the next one I would do would be the public schools. Notice how I'm not giving you my opinion, right? Notice how I'm not telling you what I think. I'm just reporting on kind of the facts here, right? So I'm going to make this underline, increase it a little bit. I believe I did 14. Public. Oh, I think that's a little too big. So bring it down to 13. Public schools that are deemed good, right? And then, why did you make this chart? I can copy and paste this, all right? Because I made, And then I just write 43% of public schools are considered good. All right. And that's all you have to do for this one. I would try to make sure that these match. I'm a big fan of using a table to organize your displays. So, but this is fine. So just put in the two pie charts or the two bar charts, and then give a title and a little description. Notice that it's only a sentence long.